Hello, and you are very welcome back to DaVinci Resolve A to Z. Before we jump into today's episode, I have a big channel announcement to make, so if you would rather just skip straight to the good stuff, feel free to go to this timecode. Oh, you're still here. Great. So while this is still a very small channel, it's grown bigger than I ever thought it would, and I have no intentions of slowing down. With this growth in mind, I've decided to rebrand to Film Resolved, which will come into effect as of the next upload, which will be a shot recreation tutorial series on this shot from Skyfall, where we'll cover the cinematography and color grade. So if you haven't already, be sure to hit subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss out. To put a long story short, with the channel growing, I didn't think it was a good idea to continue to be so close to copyright infringement with my channel name and logo. The aim of this channel always has been to explore and learn filmmaking techniques together and to do any post-production aspects of filmmaking in DaVinci Resolve, because I truly believe it's the best program at this time. Other than the branding, nothing else is changing, and this channel will still produce the same content you signed up for. So just to be clear, from now on, this channel will be Film Resolved, so hopefully that doesn't cause any confusion when you see the next upload in your subscription box. I want to say thank you for all the continued support, and I look forward to growing as filmmakers together into the future. Channel update done, let's talk PCs. Point 1. This is not a step-by-step build guide. In fact, it's mostly just gear porn, but it might serve as a starting point when deciding on components for your build. Point 2. It's super important to remember that budget is a huge factor when choosing parts, so that must be kept in mind throughout the whole video. My budget was €1,500. But I knew I was going to donate my PSU from my old build as it's high enough wattage and only a year old, so really this build is around €1,600. For my American viewers, it's significantly cheaper in the US because local taxes in Ireland are comically shite. Point 3. This is not a great time to be building on a budget because there is a major part shortage, and this greatly affected my choices. If certain decisions seem like they fall into the but X component is the same price and slightly better performance category, I'm probably aware of said component but couldn't get my hands on it. If you are doing a build in a few months' time, you probably will have slightly better options. That all said, I'm more than pleased with how this build turned out. Point 4. The main factor when choosing parts for me personally was driving DaVinci Resolve, as this PC is my workhorse. This is not a gaming build, but that said, it happens to be able to handle pretty good gaming too. Because DaVinci is more GPU focused, I gave more of the budget to that than I did the CPU, and I also made the decision to future-proof upgradability by not skimping out on the motherboard, which is a mistake I made on my last build. Speaking of which, the motherboard I went with is the Aorus X570 Elite. I couldn't get the Wi-Fi version, but I have ordered a Wi-Fi/Bluetooth card separately and will add that in when it arrives. By investing in an X570 chipset, I have a board that is PCIe Gen 4, so big upgrade possibilities for GPUs. This board will also see me through at least one more generation of CPU up to 12 cores and possibly 2 generations, which would be Zen 3 architecture and 5nm technology according to the AMD roadmap, which would be a big leap. Plus, I can expand up to 128 gigs of RAM. So again, big future-proofing on upgradability with this board. It also has tons of USB 3 Type A inputs, so I can plug in a lot of drives when I need to dig through archive footage. The only thing it's really missing that I personally would have liked is USB Type C, but again, in this market, it's hard to have it all. For CPU, I went with the Ryzen 5 3600. This non-X version was on discount and made going for it over the X version a no-brainer. I'm running the stock cooler and the experience so far has been just fine. There is not a whole lot else to say here. The 3600 is the price to performance king, and for my purposes, it's great. Next up is RAM. I went with the Corsair Vengance RGB Pro. I went with a 2-stick, 32GB, 3600 MHz kit because Ryzen loves fast RAM, and to upgrade to 64 gigs in the future means simply adding 2 more sticks. If I'd gone with an 8x4 kit, upgrading would require a full swap out. Resolve runs mostly great on 16 gigs, but when it comes to the RAM hog that is Fusion, 16 gigs is the minimum Blackmagic states, and they recommend 32, so 32 it is. Now on paper, this RAM is compatible with the motherboard and CPU, but in reality it's just not communicating correctly with the board, and thus is not running at full speed, which is the only hiccup of this build, but RAM compatibility issues are actually quite common on the Ryzen platform. I've tried all the tricks in the book to fix this, from a simple XMP all the way up to manual overclocking, and I haven't been able to resolve the issue, but I'm far from an expert, so if you have any ideas, please comment below. As it stands, I'm at the mercy of a driver and or BIOS update, so fingers crossed. For GPU, the rule of thumb in terms of DaVinci Resolve performance is get the best GPU you can afford, and Resolve much prefers Nvidia over AMD, or to be more precise, CUDA over OpenCL. I really wanted 8GB of GDDR because, again, for 4K, Blackmagic says a minimum of 4 gigs but recommends 8, so I went with an RTX 2070. Now I was super limited on choice because a 2070 can range from around 450 to 600 euro. Quite a lot of wiggle room, and pretty much all the cheaper ones were out of stock, so I was really only left with one choice that fit within my budget. So I went with the Gigabyte Windforce 2X. Best I can tell, the only bells and whistles it's missing is it's not the prettiest card, and by being a mini card with only 2 fans, some people online say it may suffer from overheating, which would force it to dial performance back a little bit to keep thermals in check, but I haven't noticed any issues. For storage, my boot drive is a Samsung 970 EVO Plus NvMe M.2 drive, mouthful. It's just 250GB, but only my OS and programs will live on this. I have a 2TB SSD on the way, which will be my main media scratch disk. Right now, I've donated my 500GB SSD from my old build to be a temp scratch disk, and it's also where my games will permanently live. My actual media archival storage is all external drives. The PSU again was donated from my old build and is a bog standard 700 watt Cooler Master something or other. All these beautiful components live in a fractal All these beautiful components live in a fractal design Meshify C, a really great affordable case, and I chose it because it had all the features I needed and looked like it would have great airflow with pleasing aesthetics. It was only after I ordered it that I found out that it's pretty much known for great airflow, so happy days. Black was out of stock, but I've actually grown to love the white. The case comes with 2 120mm fans, and I have some extra 140s on the way to maximize airflow, but honestly, I haven't noticed any temperature issues so far. But that said, it never gets particularly hot here in Ireland, so ambient temperature is definitely on my side. I think the last noteworthy thing about the case/fans is how quiet this thing is. I haven't gotten around to setting up speed fan yet, but I honestly don't think I'll need to. This thing is a ninja, and that kind of sums up how far all computing technology has come since my last build. Bink. I built my old rig more than 5 years ago, and it has served me very well, but at the time most of the components had been on the market for about 2 years already, so really I've made a 7-year jump in technology with this build. So while it certainly isn't anything special, compared to what I just upgraded from, this thing feels like a Tesla. So what does all this hardware get you in Resolve? So hard metrics aside, for me, it's uninterrupted creativity and productivity. It's a better workflow and time saved. It's no longer constantly worrying about pushing too far and crashing. It's stability and being able to just get on with the task at hand. Also, as far as making videos for this channel goes, it's being able to get full frame rates while screen recording and running Resolve at the same time. On my old machine, depending on just how much resources Resolve was taking up, my screen record software would sometimes average 12 FPS. It even got as low as 7. Even worse, sometimes I'd record an entire tutorial to find out after that the computer didn't even have the resources to record audio, as the capture software would have glitched out halfway through, and I'd have to re-record the entire thing, sometimes even more than once. So before we do a torture test on this new rig, if you're looking to build a Resolve focused rig, the specs you should be thinking about to have a great experience in Resolve without it being an overkill Threadripper rig are a good CPU without breaking the bank, 32 gigs of RAM. You can save money here by going for slower RAM and no RGB. For GPU, go Team Green. Nvidia is no doubt more expensive, but it's the best way to turbocharge Resolve, so focus your budget here. You can save a good bit of money by going for some sort of 6GB model like a 1660. Alright, let's jump into Resolve and do a little torture test. So this torture test isn't any kind of official benchmark, but I thought it would be fun to do. We have 4 1-minute long UHD clips on a timeline. Each is scaled to 50% in a UHD project, giving us this 2x2 tile setup. 2 clips are XAVC-S from the A6300 and 2 are XAVC from the FS5. So we have 2 bastard codecs that are both long up, computer's arch enemy. All are log and have a quick miserable grade on them, so every single pixel is manipulated, and there is a grade and some nodes on each clip, and then I also did some nodes on a timeline grade, so really we have a grade on top of a grade, so we're being extra cruel here. First of all, we get real-time playback with no proxies or optimized media or render cache or anything like that. Remember, this is 4 UHD H.264 project files playing simultaneously in a UHD project. And also I'm running screen record software, which is capturing 4K as well. And it took this rig, it took this rig 1 minute and 4 seconds to render this out to a H.264 file, and it also did a version where it downscaled to 1080p with a time of 1 minute on the button. So really, it's pretty much real-time rendering. But I have to say, when working with a regular timeline that most of my work falls under, a lot of the time 1080p, this rig just cruises. Oh, you're still here. You know, if you made it this far, you should probably subscribe. See you in the next video, when we'll be film resolved.